Howdy y'all, and welcome to Black's Lives. I think it's time to play a little Minecraft. Alright, so today we are going to work on the living room. Now the living room is the first of the rooms that well, not the first, but it's the first of the rooms that I have gotten to. That I actually was the one who did most of the remodeling work back in the day. And man, it's pretty crazy. I know so alright. I think I talked a little bit about how when I was a kid, we had one television, right? One television. Well, we had a couple of TVs, but we had one television hooked up to an aerial. And so there was like no... Alright, we need to go 2 in. There was no... Absolutely no... What did I do in here? Goes over 3, and this side goes over... Wow, that doesn't make any sense. This door might have to move over 1. What did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Yeah. I'm gonna have to move this door over 1. And so, you know, whenever there was sports on the television, that's what we watched, was sports. And so I don't really do sports. I don't know if that's the only reason. I'm just not a sports kind of person. You know, what's funny is I moved that window down there because it didn't match up with the door. And now I've gone and moved the door. It doesn't matter. It's got to be over here because it's got to be in the middle. Gotta be in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But I know that I brought up the remodeling thing because 2, 3, whoops, 4. Come on, get down there, 4. Because I want to talk about a couple of what I thought was funny things. So you know, I mean, I wasn't in on a lot of the remodeling stuff because, like I talked about before, I like to get in and get the room done in a couple of days and not have to be bothered with it. And several people in my family are more of a long-term drag it out project kind of concept, I guess. I don't really know how far down here this has got to go, but I got to get a floor in so we can work on this. And so, you know, like for example, we right now have a spare bedroom that is in the process of being repainted, and that spare bedroom has been in the process of being repainted since last year sometime. I mean, I don't use it, so I guess I don't really care, but some of it was like dumped into the game room, which I do care, and just left because, oh, dang it. I'm using slabs here, alright? Do the slabs. Which kinda is more than a little irritating that, you know, stuff just got dumped down and left. But, yeah. I'm not sure what to do about the walls in here. What did we do with the walls? Now, the living room got remodeled a couple of times. And my big thing was, once I took over the remodeling, is that the walls, and I talked about this when we did the kitchen, the walls are made out of slats and plaster. And so that's all they had on the walls for insulation. And so I wanted to make sure that the insulation got placed in the outside walls at least. And I also wanted to redo all the electrical wiring, and so we actually stripped this down to the studs when I did the studs and the joists, ceiling, floor, walls, all of it got tore out, completely tore out. And because I wanted to make sure that everything started over from scratch, so that we could, get everything updated. Not everything, I guess, but as much as possible. Especially things like uh, lack of insulation in the outside walls, which is just ridiculous. And wiring, make sure we had enough plugs and things. Because when the house is built and they put in the wiring, they I mean, I don't know if the wiring was added when it was built or after it was built, but it wasn't built in modern era, and so there weren't like 1,000 wires. I don't know. What did the walls look like? What did the walls look like? We wallpapered them, if I remember correctly. Or there was paneling, but we took all that out. And before that, it was green paint. Oh, I do not know who originally painted some of the places in the house, but wow, it originally had this mint green paint. It was something else. Man, I cannot remember what color we put the living room. I can't remember what color the carpeting was, for that matter. He's pretty crazy. What am I looking for anyways? I don't know. I know we're gonna need these. But it was interesting doing the remodeling because being old, the house settles, right? And so with the house doing some settling, what we wound up with was some really weird spots in the house where, like, in front of the couch, there was a couch. This floor was sunk way down in because the joist underneath the living room had started to sink. Because the post holding up the joist started to sink. And then, like, the ceiling had a dip in it because the joists up above were slowly, settling, and so the ceiling wasn't flat, and the walls are all crooked, and and so it wasn't the easiest thing to remodel, but we got it done. I just wish I could remember what it looked like. I don't know why I cannot remember what this stuff looks like. I know one of the back rooms I have pictures of still, but I do not have pictures of this. I want to say, well, I know the ceiling was done in with the ceiling tiles again. And so I know that is like that. So let's go ahead and do that. Now the ceiling in here was higher than the ceiling in the kitchen. Right? Yeah, because the ceiling of the kitchen I could touch standing on the like my tippy toes maybe, but the ceiling in the living room, that wasn't going to happen. So we've got to go up one more high for the ceiling in here. Can I reach that from down here to put that in? Okay, and so we've got the ceiling is one up, which makes perfect sense because the floors above are the same way. To go from the middle room into the rooms that are above here was a step down. Now these floors were even, and so that we can do. I just can't remember what color the walls were. I can remember the green mint paint. I can remember the gray paneling with magenta pinstripes and little magenta flowers. I can remember that. So what did we do after we tore all that out? Oh, you know what it was? I remember. We put up more paneling. I'm going to use diorite. It's not quite exact, but it's similar, I think, to what we had. I'm just going to have to go over, well, let me empty out my inventory first, and then we'll head over and see about grabbing some raw materials for that from the city. Yeah, let me go to the other chests here and get those dumped in. Oh, I've only got one other chest. Oh yeah, that's right, because it all got overwrote by the jungle. And so I lost all of that. We'll keep the steak on us. Wait, why do we even have these? Get out of here. No, I'm serious. Get out of here. I don't need your old broken down skeleton bows. Or your witch glass bottles. Alright. Yeah, it was, we used kind of a light gray, I think, maybe, if I remember correctly. And then the carpeting, what was the carpeting in that room? When I was a kid, it was brown shag, like dark brown shag, like, I don't know, milk chocolate colored, maybe. So when I tore it all out, we got rid of that because, yeah, it needed to go. I want to say that we switched it out for kind of a light brown plush carpet instead of shag. I mean, the shag was pretty beat down, so it might as well have been called plush at that point. There was no shag left to it, but it was pretty thick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was light brown carpet and white ceiling and kind of gray paneling for walls, but I'm going to use the diorite. I think that should look pretty close. It's either that or we use light gray wool. And I don't think, or clay. I don't know, let's go look at the color board. That'll tell us. I just remember being amazed when I went to remodel the floor in the living room that there was such a huge dip. I mean, like 6 inches in the one spot, and nobody had said anything. Nobody even batted an eye. Yeah, there is no light gray stained clay, is there? This actually, I think that's a little darker than I want, though. Do I have the diorite and stuff on here? I do not. Why don't I have the stone on my color wall? This is about the color of the paneling we had before. And I want to say it was much brighter than that. Oh, let's see. Diorite. Got lots of iron. You know, if the iron didn't go in with There's diorite. That might be all the diorite I got. I haven't really used it too much in any of my buildings. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go out and hunt down some more diorite somewhere. Oh, there's some diorite. There's some light gray wool. Let me take that. That's not the right color. I'm not taking the light gray wool. It's not the right color at all. You know what? Now that I think about it, maybe it was kind of a white brown color, which we don't have. I thought that was a person again. Every time I see that, I think it's someone standing there. Just for that split second before I realize there can't be someone standing there, I'm on single player. Yeah, I haven't bothered to put this back on a server. I liked it on a server, and after our last host died, I just, I don't know, haven't bothered putting it back. I'm getting lost in my own tunnels here. I remember once as a kid we had horrible ice storms, and so being on the farm, on a dairy farm like that, you have to have electricity. So we had this huge generator, but because of the ice storms, like everything was shut down, gas stations and all that, and so we didn't have a lot of access to fuel, and so I remember we must have been without power for a week in the middle of winter, and so the only time we had power was chore times. And am I going the wrong way again? I get so lost coming out of this dang thing. I think yeah, I've gone the wrong way. I keep wandering off the wrong way. Home is this way. I don't know why I keep going that other way. But, so, I remember that we we had no electricity except at chore time, and because that's when they turn on the generator. And so with the generators turned on, we'd plug in these electric heaters in the living room and heat up the living room. I mean, you got 2 chore times a day that last for multiple hours, so it's not like we were dying or anything. But I do remember being wrapped up in quilts and our winter coats and stuff, trying to stay warm because there was no there's no heat. Like a week. I also remember once getting off of school for almost a week because of the snow and stuff, and that was pretty crazy. All right, let's see if this isn't quite the right color, but it's pretty close. It's just it's black and white instead of white and kind of cream colors, but you know, you're stuck with the palette you got, so which is all right. I don't mind just having an approximation. Oh, I gotta take all this. My poor, I call it my schematic up there. Ain't gonna be nothing left by the time I'm done building these rooms down below, because it's not gonna fit at all into what I've got going. I also remember one time, oh, made me so mad. I remember one time it was March, and so it was March Madness, which is what, college basketball, And so, of course, that's what was on the television. Can't watch anything else but the sports. And I remember almost every March, actually, we had bedtimes when I was a kid. And so, like, my bedtime was like 7:30 when I was really small, I remember, and then we get to like 8:30 and 9:30 bedtimes, and, except when there was March Madness. And I remember no, I didn't enjoy sports then. I didn't mind playing them sometimes. I played basketball and soccer when I was in school, but man, I did not enjoy watching them ever. But because it let us stay up late, we would come in and pull the cushions off the couch. Yeah, I think this will work. And so after we pull the cushions off the couch, we'd put them on the floor, and that's where we'd sleep. It's just camped out on the floor for March Madness stuff. But oh, I hated watching it. Another thing I remember too, I got another story. I have a bunch of stories maybe. I couldn't think of anything for the kitchen, but I've got one here that's kind of about the kitchen too. So growing up on a farm, like I keep saying that a lot, but we had the dairy cows, but we also we didn't just use them for dairy. I mean, we also ate them. They were a major source of meat for us. Oh, there's where you're at. I was trying to figure out where that goofy spider was at. And so we actually would butcher them, and I'm not sure if I want to fill this diorite in around this doorway or if I want to use the wood like I did here. I'm not sure that I like the way this turned out. I might just take this out and put back in oak wood. What we had though was we had really fancy, I don't even know what it's called, scroll work, something, I don't know, over top of the door. I never understood the purpose of it, but it was like, let me go make a stair and we'll try it out. But so, let me go back to my story too while I'm making, or just grabbing stair here, I guess. So I remember also one time, so we make our own meat, and well, you don't make your meat, but you know, you butcher a cow and get your meat from it, and so the they would grind up meat into hamburger, and so I mean we ate other things too. Do you think that would be okay? I don't know. That's kind of. Let me put it in the doorway. Not like that. I don't think that works either. Oh, I should have grabbed some actual dark wood. I could put it around the door and decide if that's what I wanted. But, and I remember one time, okay, so, as I've said a couple of times, we had a television in the living room when I was really young. One television hooked up to the antenna, and so, and so I remember this one time, it stuck with me. I was so mad, so mad. They went and I'm probably gonna do that. We had this dark wood trim around the doors. So Superman was on. Maybe Superman 2 or Superman 3. It doesn't matter. Superman was on. And we were going to be allowed to stay up late to watch it. And so it was on at like 8 o'clock at night. And so I just remember that they butchered a cow, and so because we were staying up late, they decided it would be okay to work on that cow in the kitchen. And so they start grinding the meat into hamburger, and it was so loud you couldn't hear the TV. So loud you couldn't hear the TV. So what was the point of even letting us stay up? I mean, just let us stay up so that you could grind meat in the kitchen. That grinder was so loud, and it smelled horrible. I remember it had a terrible, like burnt electric smell to it. Oh, I mean, it didn't taint the meat or anything. It just smelled. Oh, that made me so angry. Because you didn't get to see Superman very often. It's not like now where you had access to everything. You either owned it or you waited for it to come out on television. And like we didn't go to the movies when I was a kid, really. And maybe a couple of times, but until I was a teenager, we didn't go to the movies really. And then and so we had a VCR, but we never really rented anything. And I mean, occasionally, like from the library, we'd check out some videos, but the library didn't really have that many videos when I was a kid. And and so Superman was a rare thing to get a chance to watch. It was something I really liked. And so to have it interrupted by this stupid grinder just making so much racket just would drive me crazy. All right. All right, I'll do one more story here, and then we'll quit because I'm gonna have to go get some more materials to be able to finish this off. So I also remember that they did tear the plaster off the wall. I'll tell you two more stories, I guess. They did tear the plaster off the walls in here, and so I do remember that Spider. I'm trying to tell a story here, and you're so noisy. And so while they were tearing the plaster down off of the slats, they didn't remove the slats. They just tore the plaster down. I don't know why I didn't. I helped carry it out, but I didn't help take it off the walls. You had to use like a hammer and keep hitting it over and over with the hammer. And so we actually hung a sheet in the doorway. I think I may have told this already, actually. And so we had this sheet pinned in the doorway to try and keep the dust out. When we did the living room, though, it was like winter. And so we hung another sheet in here. And these doors, of course, were all closed. So I don't know what I'm going to use for the flooring in here, but let's just put this down and put the door down. Oop, wrong way. And so we tore down though to the studs and stuff in this room here because I was doing it and I wanted everything torn out so we could make sure it all got fixed up correctly because I didn't want any dips in the floor or anything like that. And so we actually wound up bringing in floor jacks, which are used to Well, there's a couple different kinds. We bought the floor jacks that actually become the supports for the house, and so I put in a couple of floor jacks underneath, because the basement pretty much was just under this room, and so I put in the floor jacks, and when we lifted up the main joists that support the floor back to being even, this door over here never shut right, like my whole life. And so after we put in those floor jacks, this door suddenly started working. It was crazy. And the dip in front of the couch was just like, it was so bad. Like, I can't believe how big of a dip was there, and no one ever said anything. Because I never came over this part of the room when we got to the point where I was doing the remodeling on the house. But yeah, it's this is coming along pretty good. I was thinking I had another story to tell. Oh, I did. So in here when we tore out, I wasn't I wasn't going to take it just down to the slats because I wanted to make sure the wiring was rerun, and because the wiring didn't get rerun in all of the kitchen because they didn't take the slats out, so they couldn't reach some of it. And so it was crazy. Like if you plugged in the toaster down here, and in this room up above here, you had on electric heater. Sometimes the toaster and the electric heater on at the same time would blow the power, and so you'd lose power in like this room and not this room, but that room back there, because they were all wired together for some reason. And so when we tore it out, we actually wound up with a new panel and two sub panels, and everything was split off into breakers for individual rooms, or even multiple breakers for individual rooms, and stuff like that, so that it made sense. But so when we tore this out, instead of having to break through the plaster, we just tore the slats off of the studs. And so when I did that, I was trying to be careful, and I'd put down like a tarp, and so I'd carefully pull off the walls until we had all the walls cleaned. And so I went around the whole room pulling off from the walls carefully, and then my brother came over to help, and they decided not to be as careful. And so when they pulled down the ceiling, well, I remember pulling down the ceiling too. It was disgusting, dirty work, because that stuff had been up there for like 80, 90 years possibly. And so you're pulling that out, and it's all dust and who knows what, spiders and mice nests and all of it just up where in between they had moved in between the floor and the ceiling, or the ceiling and the floor above. And so all of that came down out of there, and it was just all like black dirt, and it was just so gross. And yeah, they stopped being careful and just made a giant mess on the floor, which then had to clean up. The whole idea with the tarp was we could carry the tarp full out the window of this room and dump it into like truck or something, and instead we just wound up with a mess so big that we wound up having to get shovels and shovel it into things to take out to get rid of it out back this way. So all right, well, I'm gonna call it here. Maybe I'll make it out next time to get some supplies. Maybe that's what the episode will be about, is going to get some supplies, because there's no reason I can't tell stories while I dig up supplies. Looks like I'm gonna have to go back in the nether and mine up some more quartz again, though, man. It could take so much quartz for this, because this room had a white ceiling, this room had a white ceiling, probably this room had a white ceiling, this room had a white ceiling. They all have white ceilings, all of them but one, I think. And the outside of the house is white too, so yeah. Alright, click like if you like, subscribe, be sure and catch the next one, and I will talk to you later.